Happy Tuesday, everybody. I am Harrison Graham. This is another episode of Verts where we talk NFL and college football every single day, NFL focused this time of year. It is time for our post-Super Bowl mock draft. We did a mock draft 2 weeks ago. We did one last week. You guys seem to enjoy them, so if you guys continue wanting us to do mocks, we will crank those out. And by the way, this one has several trades in it, so stay tuned for that. And hey, let's keep the momentum going. Our first mock draft picked up 66 new subscribers. We picked up 84 in our second one. Can we top it again? Again, if you want more mock drafts, prove it to us, spread the word, share this video, and of course, subscribe. Let's try to top 84 new subscribers. Okay, we're trading right off the top here. Tennessee Titans, who reportedly, according to Ian Rapoport, are open to trading down if they get the right offer. They're considering all their options. So the Giants, who are sitting at number 3, desperate franchise with a desperate fourth-year GM and head coach, they move up to 1. They also pick up a fourth-round pick, number 101. Titans get 3, 34, and a fourth, so they move down slightly in their fourth, pick up 34 in the process. In a normal year, it would probably cost a little bit more, but in a year that's not, super strong at the top and only moving down 2 spots, Titans essentially pick up a late first, early second-round pick to do so. Okay, Cam Ward to New York. That is the selection here as the Giants move up to get their guy. Obviously sitting behind the Titans and the Browns with 2 quarterbacks in Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders that most believe are worthy of going in the first round. You can't risk not moving up potentially, so I could see the Giants sniffing around and moving up. They get their guy. And then I got the Browns trading down with the Raiders for the number 2 pick. Cleveland picks up 6, 68, and a first next year. From 2 to 6, bigger gap. And if one of the quarterbacks is already gone, in some ways this pick actually becomes just as valuable, if not more, than the number 1 pick. So Vegas moves up to 2, and they get a guy that they've been linked to for a very, very long time. That is Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback out of Colorado. Obviously, he has a relationship with Tom Brady. They've spoken and hung out on several occasions. He's a quarterback that he looks up to. The bright lights in Vegas, new regime, new head coach, new GM. Now, John Spytek is a guy that historically, along with Pete Carroll, would go with a veteran. But Pete Carroll, once upon a time, drafted Russell Wilson, and that worked out pretty well. So I got them going up, getting Shedeur Sanders here, getting their quarterback for the future. Who do you guys think the better QB prospect is this year? If you think it's Cam Ward type CW, if it's Shedeur Sanders type SS, I think Cam Ward's upside and physical talent is worth taking the swing on, but if you rather have Shedeur type SS. So the Titans now sitting at the number 3 pick, they end up with Abdul, a player that could go number 1 overall anyway. So again, if you're Tennessee and you're kind of, if you're not loving this QB draft class, then move down with a team like the Giants. Still get arguably the best player in the draft in Carter. That means Travis Hunter falls into the Patriots' laps at number 4. New England could go trenches here, but I think Hunter is too good to pass up on. You could go Will Campbell, you could go Mason Graham, but I think if you're New England, you still need playmakers on both sides of the ball. I do wonder if he'd play receiver in New England more so than corner because they need more firepower offensively. Have to wait and see how that all plays out with Hunter's situation. Okay, Will Campbell goes to the Jags at 5. Offensive head coach Liam Cohen. Got to unlock Trevor Lawrence. You could argue Mason Graham's the better player on the board right here, but I'm going to get a protector of Trevor. Brandon Scherff, a free agent. You could play Campbell at guard. If you want to play him at tackle, you could do so as well. He slides in there as the number 5 pick. Mason Graham falls to Cleveland at 6 after they trade down, so they still move down, get arguably a top 3 or 4 player in this draft. Obviously, Myles Garrett could be a player they eventually have to trade, so if they can get another defensive lineman in this draft to help replace him, that would make a lot of sense. I'm going Mykel Williams with the Jets here at number 7. Traitsy pick. Obviously, he's big, he's athletic, he's strong. The production was, hit and miss. I think he had 4.5 sacks. Is about what he averaged per year over his 3-year career at Georgia, but could be a guy with the right coaching that really explodes in the NFL. His teammate Jalen Walker goes to Carolina at number 8. I saw Dane Brugler released his updated top 100 big board. He had Walker as the third best prospect in this draft. Going to be interesting to see how teams view him, either as an off-ball linebacker or as an edge rusher. Kind of similar vibe to former Georgia, edge linebacker hybrid Nolan Smith, who has blossomed into a nice player in Philadelphia. I think Walker will have kind of differing opinions in terms of his positional value in the NFL across the league. Okay, we got another trade here. So the Saints, who sit at number 9, they're going to trade down with the 49ers and pick up a third-round pick in the process. San Francisco sends 11 and 75 to New Orleans. The Niners pick up number 9, and they jump Chicago, who is currently sitting at number 10, and land Josh Simmons. Little teaser, Bears trade back as well. You can see Cincinnati sitting there. Simmons, the offensive tackle out of Ohio State, who had a knee injury in the middle of the season, so we'll see what his medical status is, but most people believe he's the best pure tackle in the draft if healthy. If those check out, I could see him going pretty high, and he probably plays right tackle as a rookie. Then once Trent Williams retires, you kick him out to the left side, the position he's played at Ohio State. Okay, I mentioned it. Bears trade down with the Bengals. They pick up 17 and 49, trade Cincinnati 10 and 148 in this draft to pick up an extra day 2 pick, where most people believe is the sweet spot. And I think for the Bengals, this is a great outcome, right? You go up and you get Teteroa, McMillan. In this scenario, they move on. They let T. Higgins walk in free agency and get McMillan, arguably a top 5 or 6 player in this draft, the wide receiver out of Arizona, goes to the Bengals with the number 10 pick. If you told Joe Burrow, hey, we can't pay Higgins, but we're going to keep Chase and we're going to keep Hendrickson, we're going to draft Tet McMillan, that's a pretty good job, I would say, by Cincinnati. Obviously, Burrow has made it clear he wants to keep all 3, but that just may not be feasible, especially with the way the Bengals operate. Okay, here's a little of a surprise. Jaxson Dart, after the Saints moved down a couple of picks, Kellen Moore throws a dart here, brings in the Ole Miss quarterback. I think he could go as high as top 10 and as low as the second round. I do think he's established himself as that third quarterback in this draft. People like Todd McShay have said that some teams have him as QB2 on their big board, so I don't really know what to do with him. Last week I had the Steelers taking him at 21. My first mock, I didn't have him going in the first round. So Saints here at 11. I could see Kellen Moore wanting to make a splash. They're probably going to have to move off of Derek Carr given his contract situation. So somebody's going to have to play quarterback. Now, maybe they just turn the keys to Spencer Rattler for a season. Who knows? But Jaxson Dart 11 here. That is the pick I make. And then the Rams make a big splash. They move up from 26 to 12 with the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas picks up 26, 90, and a first next year. 14 slots in the first round's a lot. And if you're Dallas, you need big-time draft capital because you have big contracts on your books, and if they pay Micah Parsons, that's another one. So move back half a round, pick up a third, and then you get a first next year. That gives Jerry and Stephen Jones a lot of capital to work with, both in this draft and the next one. And the Rams get an excellent player that slides a little bit in this mock, and Will Johnson at a clear position of need. The Rams need a corner bad, and I think Will Johnson – right after Travis Hunter is the best pure corner in this draft. Obviously, we'll see which side of the ball Hunter primarily plays, but Johnson is long, athletic, has good speed, great ball skills. I think if Sean McVay got this guy on his defense, that would be thrilling for Los Angeles. Okay, the Miami Dolphins add a piece in the trenches here, Kelvin Banks Jr. Unclear how long their left tackle, who I'm completely drawing a blank on, is going to keep playing, Teron Armstead. So Banks is a guy who gives you insurance for him, but also positional versatility. Some scouts believe he could play guard in the NFL. So you take the Texas offensive lineman here. Liam Eichenberg's a free agent as well. Maybe he starts at guard as a rookie, and then you go from there. Mike Green, the edge out of Marshall, lands with the Colts with the number 14 overall pick. Lou Anarumo gets a pass rusher there, which would make him happy because the Bengals did not give him a lot of pieces in recent years. Shamar Stewart, who had a great Senior Bowl, both these players, Mike Green and Stewart, had great Senior Bowl weeks. He goes to the Falcons at 15. They've needed quality pass rushers for years. They take a swing on the Texas A&M big defensive end, much bigger than Mike Green. Armand Mimbaugh goes to the Cardinals at 16. Played right tackle, some right guard at the University of Missouri. They could use a tackle to pair with Paris Johnson. He could also kick inside if they were to play him in there. So positional versatility, has very strong hands, would be a very good fit to help protect Kyler Murray. All right, we're halfway home before we get to the Bears at 17 after they traded down. Who do you want your favorite team to draft this year? Name a player you would like your favorite team to select. The Bears end up getting Tyler Booker, the guard out of Alabama, and I think for Chicago this would be a really good result. You trade down, pick up an extra second, and still get a plug-and-play starter on the offensive line. I think Bears fans would be very pleased with that outcome. Another trade here, Pittsburgh's going to move up a few spots from 21 to 18. They send 85 to Seattle in the process as the Seahawks pick up a third-round pick. And the Steelers go get Ashton Jeanty, who somehow slid here. You run these mocks, it's different every single time. It'll be interesting to see where Jeanty goes because as great as he is, it's such a good deep running back class. He could slide a little bit later into the first round, but I don't expect Najee Harris to be back in Pittsburgh. I like Jaylen Warren, but to me, he's a number 2. You put Jeanty in there as a starter. That's a good 1-2 punch. The Steelers are going to want to be a run-first team, especially if they roll with Justin Fields at quarterback, which there's some chatter that could be the case. Okay, James Pierce Jr., the edge out of Tennessee. He ends up in Tampa Bay. I think he's a perfect scheme fit for Todd Bowles. He kind of reminds me of Shaq Barrett, honestly, who had a really good career there, obviously. So you slide him into that type of role. Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State. I mean, could you imagine if he's sitting there at 20 for Sean Payton? I mean, he'd be licking his chops to turn in that card. Kind of a dream scenario. We'll see if he makes it this far in round 1. But certainly a chance of some trenches guys go higher, which was the case in this mock draft. And Bo Nix gets a tight end, a position that Denver did not really get much production out of in 2024. Okay, Seattle, after moving down, they still get an offensive tackle, Josh Connerly Jr. Played primarily left tackle at Oregon, but would probably play right tackle for the Seahawks, opposite of Charles Cross. Abraham Lucas has been kind of spotty since they drafted him a few years ago. Connerly could probably kick inside as well if they wanted to go that route, but he's a guy that should go, in the second half of the first round. Luther Burden III, the Chargers. I mean, what great value this would be, right? You pair him with Ladd McConkey and that crew. Maybe they sign T. Higgins as well. Burden's a guy who can move around. He's a dynamic returner also. I think that would be an awesome pick to give Justin Herbert another weapon, which they desperately need. Jack Sawyer, the edge out of Ohio State, he goes to the Packers at 23. Lucas Van Ness hasn't really worked out, so you put Sawyer in there. He can rotate in as a rookie and be a starter long term. Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle out of Michigan, lands with the Vikings. They could use kind of a bully on the interior of that defensive line. They've got good edge rushers. They've got pretty good linebackers. But to get Grant, who's 335 pounds, that would give them kind of an anchor at that nose tackle position. Emeka Egbuka goes to the Texans at 25. They're going to have to add receiver help this offseason. Obviously, they have Nico Collins, but Tank Dell likely out for the year. Stephon Diggs is a free agent. Unclear if he's going to be back. You get Egbuka in the final kind of quarter of the first round. I think that'd be pretty good. Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss, projects to be a 3-tech in the NFL with Matt Eberflus running that defense. For his defense to really go, you need a good 3-tech, and I think Nolan gives them a chance to be a plug-and-play starter. Unclear if Osa Odighizuwa will be back for Dallas. He could get a big contract. If he gets priced out, you could just draft Nolan. Matthew Golden, the Texas wide receiver, goes to Baltimore at 27. Add him to that nucleus of offensive arsenal with Mark Andrews and obviously Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers. Get another weapon for Lamar Jackson. Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia, goes to Detroit. I know they're kind of set at safety, but this is just a BPA situation. They've got Joseph, they got Brian Branch, but kind of like Brian Branch, Starks is kind of a nickel safety hybrid, so I think you can mix and match those two players depending on formation. So I think this is just one of those where you take a good player and you figure out the rest later. Okay, Benjamin Morrison goes to Washington at 29. They desperately need another corner. Marshawn Lattimore did not look very good with Washington, and they don't have really any other great corners. St. Juice is just okay, so I think they need some help on the back end. Buffalo gets Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle out of Oregon. He's a guy that, again, depending on who you ask, is all over the map. He could go in the teens. He could go second round. So he's sitting here at 30 for the Bills. How about this for the Chiefs? Colston Loveland, the tight end out of Michigan. If there was a tackle here that I liked, I would have taken him for Kansas City. They clearly need a left tackle, but didn't love the options on the board. And with Travis Kelce's future in the air, whether he retires or not, they could use some more tight end help. I like Noah Gray. They drafted the kid out of TCU last year as well, but he had an injury. Who's that? Yeah, Jared Wiley. Thank you. I should know that. My alma mater. Couldn't think of his name. But Colston Loveland could be a day one starter. Like, he's dynamic as a receiving weapon. I don't know if they have that currently on the roster, even with Kelce, with him being a little diminished. So a potential long-term replacement for number 87. And then lastly, the Eagles added trenches piece on defense, Tyleik Williams, and I could see this being the case because Milton Williams will probably be gone in free agency. They're probably going to lose Josh Sweat, so add a guy in the trenches there. Harry Roseman invests a lot of money in offensive and defensive line and a lot of high draft capital. Wouldn't be surprised if they did it once again. So there you have it. 4 Verts Mock Draft 3.0 in the books, post-Super Bowl edition with 6 trades. Let us know how we did, A, B, C, D, or F. And again, if you want more draft coverage, if you want more mock drafts, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications because we're continuing to crank out content here on 4 Verts. Later this week, could even be tomorrow, I'm going to break down some of the top free agents as NFL free agency is just about a month away, so be on the lookout for that. We'll see you guys soon. My name is Harrison Graham.